Alright y'all, welcome back. I am really excited to be making this video for you and covering two amazing tools and platforms that I've been using for quite a while now. They are Surfer SEO and what is also known as Scalenut.ai. So these are two very different yet very similar platforms that are used for blogging and creating SEO optimized content for your website, for your blogs, for anything really. And the reason why I want to make this video is to just give you an honest comparison between the two platforms, pros and cons, and help you better decide which one you want to use. Now obviously down below there are links, those are affiliate links, so if you do purchase through a link and you decide to try either one of these platforms, we do get commission. Thank you so much. If not, all good, figure out what works best for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in.
All right, so let's start with some of the basics and go over just the user interface on the front end when you log in. So first thing we have here is Surfer SEO. Now I've had Surfer SEO for going on 3 years now, and so you're going to notice something down here below, which is that I have a ton of content credits and audits that I have, and that's just because I was grandfathered in being one of the early people who got into Surfer before it blew up. So with that in mind, I definitely lean heavy on using this platform because there's a lot of really amazing tools, but I would say it is definitely more of a luxury experience than what some people might need when you're first getting started. So let's just go over some of the tools that are on here. You've got your content audit. This is obviously something that is pretty straightforward and simple. It allows you to basically look at whatever your site is, and we'll go ahead and use our specific tester domain so that you can audit the performance of your content, see what keywords you're ranking for, and it's essentially looking to replace something like Ahrefs. Obviously, I prefer using Ahrefs for this just because you can go so much more in depth, but it is a nice little thing to have on here so that you can track and see, okay, where am I at? What am I ranking for? Interestingly enough, it looks like we're actually ranking #1 for the toxic capitalism piece. Great, love that. And you can also see click-through rates, things of that sort. So this is helpful just to kind of track and have a bird's eye view. And it does have a direct integration with WordPress. So if you are somebody who's a WordPress fan like myself, that is really helpful because you can just basically one-click post to WordPress. The next thing is obviously Topic Explorer. I don't really use this tool too much, but it's something that's helpful for folks who are trying to figure out, what do I create more content on? What do I write about? I think, again, keyword research is going to be your best friend. So you'll see here some of the keywords that we've been looking at. Next, you've got the content editor. So this is really the cream of the crop on this platform and really the main thing that I use it for. So when I'm going into Surfer SEO, I'm always going in here to create well-optimized blog content that I want to have rank on Google. So what I'll do is I'll put in a keyword and it will open up what's called a content editor. And the content editor will look something like this, where we'll basically be able to go ahead and edit on the screen, similar to that of like a Google bot. And then over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see we've got this awesome little barometer that's telling us how we're doing as far as our ranking goes, and then what the average versus top ranking piece of content on the Google SERP is. So my goal is always obviously to beat the competitors and have the highest ranking score because, again, the better optimized your content is, the better quality is, the better chance that you'll have it ranking, especially on more competitive keywords. Now, one of the other cool things that the Surfer SEO platform has integrated recently is this insert internal links button here on the right-hand side. When we click on that, you're going to notice it's going to ask you, hey, what links do you want to incorporate into this? Do you have other blogs with similar keywords and topics and content that it can quickly integrate and link in? So luckily for us, we did have one on here that we could pull in. And so you're going to notice that it automatically actually brings up where we want it to go, which is great. Down below, it has all of the keywords that we need to be including in our content. Now, these are just suggestions based on the top ranking blogs and articles that are on Google. So it's important to, again, note that, pay attention to it, but also, use your discretion on how to create your content, not just keyword stuff. So the next thing we're going to look at here is we're going to swap over to Scalenut. Scalenut is a newer platform. It's definitely something I'm not as familiar with. I've just started using it more recently to kind of get a feel and see what else is out there. So with the first thing on the dashboard, you're going to notice it's a little bit different, whereas the Surfer SEO definitely has a little bit more of a modern feel. Again, the UI isn't a huge deal. It doesn't mess with the function so much, but it is kind of nice to see a list of things that we're working on and have it organized a little differently. The one thing that I will say that has been so helpful with the Scalenut platform is the fact that their article writer and their AI writer is 100% free. It's included in your plan. So that's something that's definitely been very attractive because on Surfer SEO, you have to pay $19 a month for each AI written blog that you're creating. And if you're someone like me who wants to save time and also save on cash, it's helpful to use these tools to get you started so you're not starting from the blank page. So that's going to be one of the major pros when we're looking at Surfer SEO versus Scalenut. Scalenut automatically includes the AI writer into its platform with its plans. So that's super helpful. It does have similar features as far as the article writer. So if we were to go over to the YouTube management, we'll use the same kind of blog that we were split testing here. It has a few extra things that I actually appreciate that Surfer is missing out on. So the first two things that I'm looking at are the meta title, the meta description, and the URL slug. Now, these are obviously suggestions. I will definitely cut these down and adjust them based on my knowledge and my wheelhouse. But it's something that I always find really annoying when I'm on Surfer and I spend all this time creating this really well-optimized piece of content, and then I have to figure out what I'm going to do to slug in the URL and the meta description because it doesn't automatically propagate that for me. So another little thing that's like nice about Scalenut and how it's actually doing a little bit more than Surfer SEO. The one thing that I did know, which is an interesting discrepancy, is if I were to go and take this entire blog that's on Scalenut, the barometers rank differently. So this is really interesting. And I've been split testing this with a few different pieces of content, but it looks like from what I'm seeing, if we go ahead and copy this over into what we have on Surfer, what you're going to notice is that it's going to rank it differently based on the content. And so I actually found this really interesting when I was creating content on Scalenut and then testing it on Surfer, is that the content that I wrote on Scalenut actually scored a lot lower when I put it into Surfer SEO. I don't know exactly what that is or what that means, but it's something that's definitely curious for me because I want to make sure that obviously my content is ranking and has the highest quality content possible. So definitely something to look out for. And then what I did with this article in particular was once I finished writing it in Scalenut and transferred it over, I went through the process of using the auto optimize tool right here on the right. So awesome little amazing gadget that's available that helps you basically update your content, make it better so that it can rank higher. Finally, over here on the right-hand side, similar process. We've got that little barometer on the right here telling us how we're doing, average score, top score. And again, you're going to notice there's some slight discrepancies between this. So 61 and 80. This one's got a 56 and an 80. So it's telling you that it's actually lower on the ranking. The top score is about the same. And then of course it has other components as far as key terms that we want to be including. I will say I don't love the key term layout on here as much. When I'm writing, I like to actually see, okay, what keywords do I need to be including more of? What do I need to talk about? How can I incorporate that into the content? And that's definitely one of the things that I felt like was missing in how I was creating content on Scalenut. Now, obviously, the URL is really helpful, the meta tags, the H1 headings, links, things of that sort. But it's definitely not as helpful to figure out, okay, what am I actually writing content about if I don't have the words in front of me? So that's definitely going to be a big thing that I would highly recommend seeing what works for you. Some people like having all of the words in front of them. Some people prefer to write without it. The one thing that's nice about Scalenut and how it works, though, is that it can be automatically produced by AI. So that way you don't have to sit there and write the content from scratch. Now, with that in mind, the other thing is speed. So I am a big fan of speed, and what I will say, though it is a little clunky at times, the Scalenut AI writer is definitely a lot faster. It takes 3 to 4 minutes for it to produce an entire blog, whereas with Surfer SEO, whenever I use the AI credits, it takes 10 to 20 minutes before the full blog will be produced. And then even then, I usually have to go in and optimize the content and update it and make it better. Now, that's the case on both Scalenut and on Surfer SEO. I'm never going to get a perfect article right out the gate whenever we're using any AI tools to help, but it is something that makes a big difference as far as our ability to batch content and to create more without having to wait so long. So again, it's one of those things where when you're going through this process, you're going to be spending a lot more if you're using Surfer SEO, but I will say that the quality is definitely there from what I've seen thus far, but you're paying more for the quality. So point being, you can definitely get away with using Scalenut, and I think it is an amazing tool and platform from what I've seen and what I've used so far. I would say that if you're somebody who is on a budget, it's going to be something that's more cost-effective and more friendly. So we can go ahead and dive on in and look at the pricing real quick so that you can have a better idea of what you are going to be paying. Okay, so the Scalenut plans start as low as $17 a month, which is absolutely insane. Now, at the time of this recording, this is during the Independence Day special. 4th of July just happened. Woo! And so they're offering a really big deal, but this is also the annual plan. So if we swap it over to the monthly, we'll put our little toggle there. It's going to be $39 per month, $79, $149, etc. I currently use the growth plan, so that's great. And you're going to notice again in each of these, you have that unlimited AI words, meaning that it can write all of those blogs for you, which is really, really helpful. Now, if we go and toggle back to Surfer SEO in comparison, it's definitely on the higher end as far as pricing goes, just to get in the gate. So we want to make sure that, you're thinking about that when you're creating your content and figuring out what platforms you want to use. You want it to be something that's cost effective. So right out the gate, just to get started on Surfer SEO on the monthly plan, it's $89. So it's 2.5 times essentially more than what you would be paying on Scalenut. So again, I don't think it's something that you have to have. I think it's something that can be a great tool to use when you get to a place to where you're ready for those more advanced tools and components. The other component to pay attention to on here is that, again, you also don't have the AI articles included. So those are an additional cost. Each AI article that you have written with the Surfer SEO AI does cost an additional $19 a month. You can bundle it and purchase in bulk, but, one of those things. And then obviously the yearly billing, you save up to $480. It's about a $20 discount. It's definitely not as generous as the one that you would get when you purchase through Scalenut.io or Scalenut AI. When we swap this over to the annual plan, it cuts it in half by over 55%, which is a massive savings. Now, granted, this is a deal for 4th of July. So if you are watching this and this is still here, jump on it. And if you're not watching this and you're still here, definitely still look at taking advantage of this, because it's a huge, huge savings just to get you in the door and get you started. The final piece with Scalenut, it does not have the direct push to WordPress yet, but it's definitely a feature that I'm looking forward to seeing more of, hopefully in the very near future. But that is going to be it. So let me know down below in the comments, which one do you use? What else have you tried? Are there other platforms and softwares that you want us to go ahead and test to give you feedback and help you better compare and contrast what makes the most sense for you? In my personal opinion, I think Scalenut is definitely an up-and-coming runner. But as far as quality goes, Surfer SEO, if you can afford it and it makes sense for you and where you're at in your online blogging career, definitely worth the money, in my personal opinion, because the content you can cross-check with tends to be just higher quality. Now, I think Scalenut is definitely able to improve and get to that place, but as of right now, I think they're an amazing platform that I can start with, and then I use Surfer SEO to help optimize. All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will look forward to seeing you very soon.